Monotype.
Welcome to Creative Characters from Monotype, the show where we meet the people working at the intersection of type and everyday life. I'm your host, Dan Rhatigan, and today I'm talking to a couple of type designers I admire, Nalat and Anuthin of Cadson Demak. Cadson Demak is a 25-year-old type foundry and design studio based in Bangkok, often seen as the preeminent source of design in Thailand itself. I had the pleasure of meeting Anuthin and Nalat last year at BITS in Bangkok, which is a conference that Cadson Demak puts on for designers all over the Southeast Asia region. What's really exciting about BITS and the experience that Cadson Demak has curated is that they are really celebrating the design that's happening in their own region and the people who are making that happen, and even the customers who are helping to make that happen. Cadson Demak has been instrumental in building the modern design industry in Bangkok, and part of this effort has been proving that type is valuable. Here's Anuthin explaining this.
25 years ago, we didn't really have any profession because font was just a free thing. People expected to have it for free. So in order to change that, you have to do a lot of things. And that's what we've been doing all these years. And we're still doing that.
Carl's here to preview this episode with me. Hi, Carl.
Hey, Dan. Happy New Year, and welcome to Season 6 of Creative Characters.
And Happy New Year to you. I hope that it was a good start to a new year for you. I'm hoping that maybe we have something a little bit less chaotic coming up in the years ahead, but we'll see.
It's hard to imagine a more chaotic year, but I'm not going to be tempted. Changing subjects entirely, I was thinking that when you and I do these intros together, it reminds me of the SNL sketch with, I think it's Molly Shannon and Anna Gasteyer.
I'm Margaret Jo McCullough.
And I'm Terry Rialto.
And you're listening to The Delicious Dish on National Public Radio.
And they're just very much like whispery and like the NPR voice. You have a very NPR voice, and I think I try to match your hushed quality, and we end up just kind of
I think that's often the vibe I go for when I'm doing these podcasts. I just want it to feel like a nice cup of cocoa that puts everyone at ease.
There it is. So tell us a little bit about Bangkok and visiting the city, and what's the vibe there typographically?
The vibe in Bangkok overall is pretty intensely visually chaotic. Bangkok is a very, very big city, much bigger than I had guessed, having never been there before. But it's not in any way an old-fashioned kind of place. It is visually very exciting. There's a lot of advertising. There's a lot of digital screens. There's a lot of culture coming at you from all sides, which is really, really, really fun. And having paid some attention over the years to what Cadson Demak has been doing with the typographic scene, it's hard not to think that a lot of the work that I was seeing has Cadson Demak's fingerprints all over it by virtue of the fact that they have provided so much Thai type design that the companies all over the world are using when they want to move into Thailand. So it was nice to walk around and feel like I'm getting like whispers of the work of these people who I was getting to spend a little time with.
In such a vibrant and potentially overstimulating environment, I would imagine that type becomes all the more important because you need to grab attention, hold attention, and stand out. So what is it about Cadson Demak's work that does stand out to you, both in that context and just as type design?
I think Cadson Demak's work is truly contemporary type design. They have, in many ways, defined what it looks like for the Thai script to stand on its own in like a modern media context. They've been designing type that doesn't just look like old-fashioned Thai typefaces that have been available in other formats over the years, but they've really adapted a lot of contemporary type design to the shapes and the visual language of the Thai script in a way that feels like it's brought it in step with what's happening everywhere else. The Thai design scene overall doesn't feel so much like it's in a corner of the world. It feels like it's a big part of everything we see around us every day.
Well, I'm really excited to hear more from them and from you. So let's get into your conversation with Nalat and Anuthin.
We are here with Cadson Demak, who are widely regarded in the type industry as being the go-to firm for typographic design for the Thai language and the Thai region. It's so nice to be here with the two of you. I know that I got to spend some time with both of you in Bangkok at BITS earlier this year, but it's very nice to return to the conversation.
It's great to be here as well. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for having us.
It's always a pleasure. I want to start with a couple of basics for people who may be newer to Thailand and Bangkok and less familiar with the scene there. And this comes from a very dumb place that I acknowledge coming from me as an American. I've met you both before, but I honestly struggle with your lengthy last names. So Nalat, could you tell me your full name?
Sure. So my name is Nalat Jaturapattarapong. So if you say it really quickly, it's going to be Nalat Jaturapattarapong. It leans towards one of the longer names in Thai, I would say.
And Anuthin?
My name is Anuthin Wongsunkakon. That's how you pronounce it.
The trouble that I have pronouncing them is it's when you break down the names into smaller chunks, it's easy to wrap your head around. I found that to be a bit of a parallel to trying to parse Thai typography when I see it. Is it true that you don't actually use word spaces when you're typesetting with Thai?
Yeah, the space only applied at the end of the sentence. So you have to learn how things put together and how to separate like word one from another.
But it's also interesting in that sometimes the spaces are often substituted for commas as well. So for like Thai sentences, sometimes when you have that space, it doesn't necessarily mean that that sentence it's over. It just means that it's just like a reading break. And then the sentence itself is actually a paragraph.
I guess you could say it that way.
That's a really good point of entry into trying to like make sense of what I saw all over in Bangkok, seeing everything, because it is unfamiliar territory and it's cool to see stuff totally from the outsider perspective, but then it gets a little bit trickier trying to get inside of it.
I think writing Thai or reading Thai required a lot of experience because, like I said, you have to know where the words end and where the word start. And believe it or not, as a Thai myself, sometimes we read it all wrong, because it's required experience, and then you have to rely on the context of the whole sentence to make sense out of it. I don't know if it's a positive or a negative about how the language function, but yeah, that's what we live with.
It's just what it is, which is fair. Now, you are a good way for designers outside of the region to start wrapping their heads around the Thai language and how it functions, especially typographically. So how long has Cadson Demak been around doing this kind of work?
We've been around for about 25 years already, so we've been around for quite some time. The story of our name, Cadson Demak, is pretty funny. Yeah, we originally proposed it for a home decor consignment store. They passed on this name, mostly probably because of the meanings. It's mean best selection. It's felt too big of a thing to fulfill. We love the name so much. So, when we set up our studio, we just kind of use this name. That's how it's began.
Did you start out doing typefaces initially, or did the type part grow out of another activity?
Well, type is always there right from the beginning, but we only start focusing on type designs probably the last 19, 20 years.
Did you start working on typefaces directly because there was a lack of good typefaces available for the design work you were doing?
Yeah, because we want something that we couldn't find. So that's why we have to make it ourselves. And the rest is history.
I mean, the rest is a success story, luckily. But I think that your experience of not finding enough choices to represent your script is not uncommon for designers who are using things other than the Latin alphabet all over the world. What was your experience like of trying to bring your native understanding to what was possible with the tools or in response to what was available already?
Well, to answer that question, I always said that we were there at the right time, at the right moment, but we also kind of like willing to sweat out and do a lot of things. So all the hard things. I mean, all the infrastructure, it wasn't there. Let's say 25 years ago, we didn't really have any profession. We didn't have industries. There was nothing because font was just a free thing. People expected to have it for free. So in order to change that, you have to do a lot of things. And that's what we been doing all these years. And we're still doing that.
I think just also the most important part is laying down the infrastructure of how, the Thai font industry is going to go as well. Introduce students or kind of just give them a sneak peek of that. This is actually a profession and your type just doesn't pop out of nowhere. Someone actually designs them. There's a lot of thought that goes behind the design process and it's a full-time job. You really need to kind of lay out this infrastructure before you get to kind of make the industry grow and become more well-known over time.
Every turn back then was just, it's all dark. You can't sell the product. They don't even know why they have to pay for a font. They don't even know what type foundry is. I find it's really funny because type foundries, as you know, we've been there all along. But all of a sudden, you talk about running a type foundries here in Bangkok. It's like all of a sudden it's just, what is this? It's very interesting. This is something new. You have to spend a good decade trying to tell them that this is nothing new at all. It's been here with you all along. We saw the opportunity to set up digital type foundries. That lack of an existing structure was a good thing, by the way, but it's also required a lot of groundwork to get this off the ground. There were a few other type foundries before us, of course, but we are the first one that actually put this practice into a professional framework. Up to today, we are still the only type foundries in Thailand that truly employ a team of type designers. You agree with that?
Yeah, of course.
So you were effectively creating the product and the market as well, or at least really pinpointing what the current market was all about.
Right. And then we use a lot of tool in order to get here. As you know, we publish book, we run podcasts, we do a documentaries. We do a lot of things just, to try to educate future clients.
You teach as well, correct?
Yes. One thing that we did in the past is a massive tour around the countries. And luckily we were sponsored by TCDC to do that with all the major university around the countries.
What is the TCDC?
TCDC is Thailand Creative and Design Center. It's a government agency. They support all the creative industries.
Yeah.
And we work with them in order to get the knowledge out of Bangkok. Because at one point, when we do the tour, we were on a van getting out of Bangkok and we passed Rangsit, which is outskirt of Bangkok. And then all of a sudden I realized that, from this point on, nobody really cared because they don't know about typography. They don't even understand what is in your presentation. So how are we going to expand that? We doing this tour. So we're just going to break our sweat and do a tour around countries. And it's not just one time. We did it like
many years.
4 years in a row. And probably like 8-9 stops per year just to kind of like bring this knowledge of typography, type design outside of Bangkok.
What did you discover on the tour? Were there things that surprised you?
We found out that the gap about typography is just so far apart from the capital.
Maybe I can give like a specific
Yes, yes,
example that I actually encountered when I was on tour. Things like, for example, type pairing was done using feelings. There's not much logic, or I would say like the fundamentals of type pairing. So these things were seen quite clearly in Bangkok, but once you leave the outskirts, it kind of disappears. And I would say it's not as easily found as in Bangkok itself. So I think that's one of the things that really got to me when I went on the tour.
But there's a good thing about it. If you look on the other side of these stories, you find that, there's a lot of vernacular stuff. It could be very inspiring. Yeah.
I've discovered over the years that paying attention to vernacular typography is an incredibly important way of learning about typography, because you discover, looking at vernacular typography in a very direct way, what people are trying to accomplish, whether or not they understand that there are so-called rules that they're supposed to follow or not, but you can really see what it is they desire to have at the end, even if it's not in the most refined form. And Bangkok is a very visually rich city. There is type everywhere. There is advertising everywhere. Is that a visual sort of experience that exists elsewhere in Thailand?
Let me put it this way. I think computer kind of changed everything. It's make vernacular less visible, luxury of having computer typography. Well, it's good. It's a good replacement, quicker, cheaper, faster. But again, like I said, without the knowledge of typography, you're giving this tool, and then you end up having a corporate vernacular.
To me, it just kind of seems like sometimes when it's not genuinely vernacular, right? It's because they're trying to imitate the styles that are already existing through the computer-made signs. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it could be like hand-drawn and everything, but the sense is not truly handcrafted.
Yeah, the hand draw is gone, but typesettings got replaced it with computer font. But it was done or arranged in a vernacular approach.
Yeah, it's like the charm. Charm is kind of lost, right?
What I find interesting about the work that you've done for many years is that not only have you been leading the way with the digital type industry for Thailand by doing the work and solving the technical problems, but in building the culture of understanding around that, you are uplifting the practice of typography. That strikes me as being a very different experience than you probably saw coming from people who were around producing type before you decided to approach the industry this way.
Yeah, before we came in, type design is more like a hobbyist work. And I realized that to get the design industries going, or even beyond design industries, get the economies going, you need a pretty good tool, which is font. And we have to be there and be that one who executes it.
Since you've been teaching as well, I mean, you've hired people over the years who've been former students of yours, correct?
Yes. Most of our alumni at the studio, they're all students of mine.
So you established the product, you established the marketplace, you established the workforce.
To be honest, I mean, at the time, I don't really think much. I just think of what needs to be done and what I have to do in order to get there.
And we're talking a lot about all the incredible work that Cadson Demak has done, but particularly with your teaching and influencing other designers, you've spawned effectively other type foundries as well. There are other type designers and other foundries in Thailand now. How many do you think there are?
I have no idea. I have no idea at all. And I was kind of surprised when, we had this conversation earlier this year at BITS, and you said something like 68.
Yeah, and that figure was there are 68 people from Thailand who sell their fonts through My Fonts in some fashion or another.
Yeah, that's a big surprise. That's a big surprise. I thought it's less than that.
Well, that would be a mix of other professional type designers such as yourselves, but also hobbyists who have access to the tools and have taken a crack at making fonts, likely who've been inspired by seeing that it is possible to dive in and have a go at things.
In the old day, we ran workshop like every Saturday and Sunday for a long time, and many of our staff are the product of
workshops.
That workshops. Yeah, some still with us, some already left, and they found their own studio, which is great. So I think having a competitive working environment is healthier than just walk alone.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Nalat, were you a design student?
Yeah, so I was studying at Chulalongkorn University, which also happens to be the one that we're teaching. Anuthin was actually my professor when I was in university. I also volunteered in BITS as well when I was studying. I think Dan also previously mentioned BITS in the beginning of our podcast as well.
Right.
A lot of my friends actually volunteered. I really think it was a great space for students to kind of experience. It's a whole new world walking into the event back then. It was a lot of designers that we can actually have a face-to-face conversation with, and along with the facilities, the event itself, it all seems super professional, yet it was really friendly as well.
So you are sitting here, so I think BITS has definitely done its job, right? It served as a great starting point for Thai designers and Southeast Asian type designers.
Of course, yes. Yeah. Do you want to actually share some like backstory behind how BITS actually started?
Of course. We have to roll back like maybe 2008, if I remember it correctly. We invited Christian Schwartz to speak at Bangkok universities, and then he planted this idea in my head. He said to me that if you host a conference, he said, I would join. So next thing we know, we brought together Chong from Shore for Chase on board. And the first one was held in 2010 with the help of Alliance Française, Goethe Institute, and Japan Foundation. We successfully built a real design, type design communities locally. And from there, it expanded beyond Bangkok to cover all Southeast Asia as we see today. We have been doing it ever since.
I think also because of like the pandemic as well. That's why the event itself has been hosting biannually, right? Every 2 years.
Yeah. And then we found out later that as the conference getting bigger, at the same time, there's a small conference popping up around the world, and all the contents just kind of like got pulled in many different directions. I think, for a conference this size, we probably better off do it biannual, so we get to curate all the contents that like truly fit with what we're looking for.
So I think you're also a person that's really detailed and particular about these things, right? So,
yeah, I'm pretty.
So maybe 2 years, once every 2 years is a good idea. Speaking of detailed and particular, I actually remember our first interaction that we had as well. The first interaction was actually an argument.
I hope it was a good one.
It was actually an argument. Do you remember?
Vaguely, yeah, but I don't remember the details. Just hit me with that.
It was an argument about how to put vowels on Thai consonants. Just a background, because I didn't actually grow up in Thailand. I grew up in Singapore. So Thai was not really my first language. And I only started to I could speak and kind of listen to Thai, but I couldn't write or I couldn't read it. So I didn't actually know the script itself. So that was my first interaction with Anuthin. He lectured me on correct vowel placements. So yeah, typographic was introduced to me basically in year 2 of university. And I've been pursuing it ever since. So it's been a long time now.
Let's back up for a second. For people who are not familiar with Thai, could you explain some of the basic mechanics of the script and what you mean by vowel placement?
We already established that Thai does not have spaces, right? In comparison to the Latin script, you guys have vowels that are placed in between consonants. Yes, but in the Thai language, we place it not only in between consonants itself, but we also have vowels that are placed on top, below of consonants as well. And this is in addition to Thai being a tonal language. So we use tones to communicate. So for example, if I say the word mai, it means would, but mai means no, but it can also mean burnt. So we kind of have to use these tone marks to differentiate between words. And you pair that with having no spaces, it can become quite a complex script to kind of learn, I would say.
Yeah, that's what I meant by it's required experience.
For that kind of complexity, have the technical challenges of developing the fonts evolved over the years to make it easier to typeset the script?
Well, I don't know if you realize that the way Thai place their tone mark in their writing now, these days, compared to the old day, everything's more like toward the center. With the limitation back in the day from hot metal type and then later on all the way to early digital font. They place vowel and tone mark, line up with the back stem. Mm-hmm. And now everybody kind of write it that way. I think it's something it's blew my mind. I think it's very, very interesting how people slowly change their writing style based on the font.
You're not the first person to describe this effect. I've heard other people in other countries talk about this. Well, essentially, the limitations of typesetting more complex scripts lead to simplified versions of the scripts being published in newspapers and books.
Right.
And that naturally reflects back on what people write and what they do by hand. I think even in the United States, we have a phenomenon where it's harder and harder for people to understand cursive handwriting because they are taught it less and they see less of it and they're more used to seeing fonts on screen.
So it's like the whole thing is like come full circle.
Exactly. I was reading about that some history programs, for example, are teaching cursive handwriting just so that the students will know how to read historical documents. So this effect is not unique to a region that has a complex writing system like Thai has or India that has a number of different complex scripts, but is an interesting phenomenon of computers influencing the culture around them in more ways than we might think about. That ties back a little bit to what you were saying about how people are trying to design in ways that look a little bit more like what they've seen come out of the computer.
Yes.
So it again sounds like you are right in the middle of an interesting period of transition for the visual culture in Thailand.
Yes.
I want to get back to the fact that you are more than just a type foundry, though, because you are also a design agency, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And more than just a design agency, you are publishers and broadcasters. What are your impressions of what it's like to be part of the design scene in Thailand now? How have you seen that part of the industry grow as well?
It's a tough question to
It's a tough
answer.
question.
Maybe can I just phrase it this way for now? I feel like this question kind of can lead back to how Cadson Demak does so many things, right? So we have Cadson, which is a font foundry, and we also have Samatapap, which specializes in branding as well. So we kind of work hand in hand with our like sister company.
Yeah, sister company.
Our sister company to kind of create the most cohesive system that is possible. And we also have a Katatrat, which helps with post-production.
A font post-production.
Post-production, yes. And also with Sarapat Cadson, which is the newest member of the
youngest,
family.
Yeah, the youngest one.
Because we believe that right now, just creating something pretty isn't going to cut it anymore. You need some way to kind of get your message or your story out to the public.
Yeah, because after those years, we have a lot of content in many form and format. So we figured out that we have to set up a new company, a new team to do content management and also all the external communication.
Yeah.
And it's just right about time because these days, I think running a type foundry is totally different than, let's say, 15 years ago. It's not like you do something, you produce something, new stuff, and then you just put it out there and everybody's going to see it. It's not just like that anymore. You almost have to kind of put yourself out there in order to get exposure. Because once you stop doing that, you could be off the radar in next month. In the old day, I would say it's much easier to promote font. You can just publish type specimens and you mail it out, you do a studio visit. But these days, people just rely on social media. If you don't really put yourself out there, then you're just going to get lost in this universe of content and more content that people pump out, and it's kind of like make you have to pound even harder on that.
It's not even...
It's like a full-time job.
Exactly. It's not enough to keep with like the traditional specimens that you used to see anymore, right?
Right.
You kind of have to stand out in a way. May that be through fonts in usage or even like having to animate it so that people can actually see how the font is in use. So I would say those are the big changes we've seen recently.
I think people just don't want to take time to study or understand things anymore. You almost have to kind of like have it ready to eat, ready to serve. That's why, you have to take advantage of all this animation form or thing like that, or type pairings and do a visual mock-up.
It's like how quickly the information can be consumed, I would say.
Yeah. Or how can you apply this or utilize this in your typographies? You almost have to make a suggestion.
All of these other skills are now part of running a type business.
Yes.
You've done a lot of commission work for clients from outside of Thailand who needed Thai versions of fonts that they had, or even new Thai typefaces that would end up in other platforms. How did you start getting all those commissions initially?
Well, if I can recall it, I think it was working with Linotype back then. We started working on Helvetica Thai version. It was a success story, and I guess that was a groundwork for putting Thai out there. Because before that, I think people have a very fixed idea of what Thai font would be.
Were people surprised by the Helvetica Thai because of the lack of loops? I know the loop question is a big one in typography.
Well, for Thai people, I don't think they're surprised at all. I think they welcome it with open arm. But, outside of Thailand, I think back then they only had the reference of a loop typeface. So they have certain expectation, and some kind of freaked out when they first saw it.
Well, that's what's so valuable about working with designers from within a given culture, is that they are naturally going to have a different perspective than the shorthand visual understanding that an outsider might.
That's why I have to explain a lot and very repetitive to a foreigner, outsider who's never visited Thailand. You can't really understand the whole typography landscape without, setting foot over here and see how advertising industries or graphic design industries over here use font.
It's probably going to be a shock when, for example, you start learning Thai with loop. Your words are broken up into you have your individual spaces for each individual word. So it's going to be a huge shock when you actually step into Thailand and see that all of the advertisements or commercials, not all, but I would say most of, and right now specifically, that uses loopless Thai.
Yeah, well, to make it clear, we're not the one who's invented this classification. It's already there. At that time, I just think it's fit perfectly with Helvetica in terms of concept. Yeah, that's why we chose that direction to begin with.
That makes perfect sense. I don't mean to suggest that you are trying to be revolutionaries by doing loopless Thai. I think that people from outside often visualize the Thai script with a lot of the loops and the styles. And the loopless style like Helvetica, which is a pretty big change from what people outside Thailand were seeing of this script, probably changed some of that landscape and probably changed what you were asked to do for future commissions after that.
And also the debate that come after whether it's Latinized or not. We can have that argument like all day long.
That can literally just be another podcast on its own as well.
Having been approached by a lot of people to design their own typefaces, how do you feel about the sense of Latinization of the Thai script?
Latinization.
What would be count as Latinized?
Latinization we usually refer to when someone's asked to design a language extension of a given script and say like, oh, make the Helvetica version of this script. And there's this tension between making the forms feel like the Latin style letters in Helvetica versus how true they are to the innate forms of the script. It's a push and pull all the time.
Right.
What we worry about often when we're commissioning scripts, and this is why I think it's important to reach out to designers with native understanding, is ideally there's a better conversation about what the pairing looks like rather than saying, let's pick apart the shapes of Helvetica and rebuild them into shapes that kind of look like Thai. You want to design a Thai that stands alongside Helvetica and feels like it's following a similar concept.
May I answer it this way? Let me try. I think a modern writing tool like ball-pointed pen and the way people write, the speed that people write these days, and you put the way Thai write, both Thai and English at the same time on top of that. This formula kind of like, that's how you end up with two scripts in one handwritings. And you can write it faster because of ball-pointed pen. And you have to switch back and forth between two scripts, and you are the one who unify those two scripts in that process. Have you ever noticed that, when you write Thai really fast and you write back and forth between two scripts, like I said, you start to see some similarity of some basic form, like a diagonal line or oval shape, thing like that, that's got simplified during that process.
I think it just comes naturally when you start writing at faster speeds, your handwriting kind of needs to become more simplified.
Yeah.
It needs to kind of cut out, like for example, if we're talking about the Thai loop. Traditionally, when we learn, we start writing the Thai loops and we have stroke orders and everything, right?
Yeah.
But then when you actually write in real life, you're not able to have that sort of precision all the time. So it just kind of boils down to how fast you're writing.
Yeah, when you write fast, you tend to lose those loop detail in the process.
And if you actually compare it, the character starts to resemble the Thai loopless that you would see because of the simplified forms.
Yes.
And it's not actually just removing the loops. There's some sort of implication that the loop was still there still for the loopless design. So it's not just completely cutting out what has been part of the loop itself.
Let me put it this way. You cannot really write Thai fast without losing the head loop.
It's impossible.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's impossible.
That organic shift in how the forms are written, again, it happens in all kinds of scripts and languages all over the world. But it is interesting in how you can sort of pair things with Latin typefaces, for instance, that you end up with a version of your writing system that makes sense to sit alongside the Latin letters that don't have details like the loops in them.
I would also want to add that perception of the general public towards these two different classifications on its own is also quite interesting as well. Like loopless is usually seen as the more contemporary, simplified. But then in the loop one, you see it more used for government documents or more official, more traditional type of contexts. And you kind of also see this sort of shift nowadays where some brands are going back to use loop as their headline as well. So it's sort of like breaking the social norms that people have placed on the two classifications.
Well, it's probably because the population of loop designs is increasing.
Yeah.
And people get to see a modern take of the loop designs.
Definitely.
And they have a new idea.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not a new idea. They just revisit what happened in the past.
So what's coming up for Cadson Demak?
We just released a full feature film that was last month.
Something else for your media empire.
Yeah, no, not really. It's another side project because we have an itch to do like movie titles and all the cool end credit. Yeah, thing like that. So it's pretty good exercise, and then we use it as a type specimen as well. And then we do all this promotion, like a pre-promotion for the film, and then we get to show a lot of use of our new fonts and things like that.
We also created a custom typeface to go along with the movie as well. So that was really cool. And it was nice to be able to give away some of the fonts for people who came to view the movie.
Yeah. We just want to take type specimens to another level.
If anyone can help take the type specimens to another level, I think it's Cadson Demak, not just for Thailand, but for the industry in general. Thank you both for spending some time with us and helping me and anyone who's listening learn a little bit more about Thai and broaden our understanding of how things are going there and all the incredible work you've been doing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
To check out Cadson Demak's work, head to their website, www.cadsondemak.com. That's CADSONDEMAK.com. Or follow them on Instagram at Cadson Demak.
Thanks for listening. If you like our show, please subscribe, rate us, and share us with a friend.
Creative Characters is brought to you by Monotype. It's produced by Christopher Olin and Mia Sullivan. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Take care.